Hello, and welcome back to the channel. And welcome to low tier again. I ran out of premium time a few weeks back, the premium that I got from the Ultra Bundle that I bought back on April 1st, and since then I've been feeling a bit frustrated about the state of Silverline economics at top tier. And so, to try to find some more fun in the game again, I've come to the one air tree remaining where I still need to grind out low tier vehicles, and that is China. Now, a lot of more veteran players don't seem to have too much of an interest in China because of how many copy-pasted vehicles there are in the tech tree. Obviously, if you already own most of the vehicles in another tree, then grinding out the exact same vehicle again isn't really the most exciting prospect. And I get that. Personally though, I see it from a bit of a different angle. You can think of the Chinese air tree as a highlight reel of the American, Japanese, and Soviet trees all at once. There's a bit of everything in there, and most of what's there is actually quite competitive, meaning a new player can experience the best of three larger and significantly bulkier tech trees without having to suffer through 3 times the grind. And as a veteran player returning to these planes after not having touched them for years in certain cases, there's definitely a lot of nostalgia here. Welcome aboard the Ki-61-I Otsu, one of the earliest aircraft ever added to War Thunder. For a Japanese airframe, it's a bit unusual. Instead of relying on an extremely good turn rate to out-dogfight enemies, this plane is more built for energy fighting. In fact, it feels a lot like a Bf-109 with a slightly more stable flight model, which actually makes sense, since it does have a German engine. Probably because of this more conservative design philosophy, though, I see a lot of players favoring the A6Ms and Ki-43s, because, frankly, they're a lot easier to fly, especially against lower-tier Allied fighters. When you're flying China, however, the matchmaker basically throws you against every nation eventually, and the Ki-61 is actually rather effective when flown against the Japanese because it has the speed to stay alive. Now, the Otsu variant I'm flying today is armed with 4 Japanese 12.7mm machine guns, which are notorious for, well, being pea shooters. Unfortunately, this puts the plane in a bit of an awkward spot. At the tier that it occupies, there are a lot of planes that can outmaneuver the Ki-61 at an extended dogfight, so you really need to rely on boom and zoom tactics to stay out of reach. But because of how weak the guns are, you also need to stay on target for a fairly long time to deal significant damage, especially to American airframes that are more robust. Because of this, I prefer to engage the slower, flimsier turn fighters like the Spitfire and Japanese fighters that I mentioned earlier. If you can set them on fire, your life becomes a lot easier. One thing about playing low tier, it definitely makes me feel dirty sometimes. Don't you worry though, I'll get spanked pretty hard this match. Now, currently, the rest of my team is having a bit of a rough time, and I'm going to have to battle against the clock if I want to turn this game around before my teammates all get shot down and I'm forced into like a 1v5. Unfortunately for me, chasing that P-39 has put me pretty far from the action, So now I'll have to floor the gas and hope I can make it back to the battlefield before it's too late. What happens next is almost clutch. Almost.
Returning to the base! Need cover!
I'd be lying if I'd said that wasn't just a little bit frustrating. Honestly, I probably would have survived if I'd fully committed to a split S there, but anyway, on to the next game. I do have to give the Ki-61 credit. It's quite the beautiful plane, all sleek and shiny. I will admit, however, there's not really any Ki-61 model that is a truly meta-defining plane. The later Ki-61s in the Japanese tree do have more powerful cannons, yes. In fact, one model actually has German MG151-20s, but that comes at a steep cost in maneuverability and engine performance. And though these earlier models are actually fairly nimble, they in turn lack the firepower to back up their flight performance. So at the end of the day, the Ki-61-I Otsu is definitely more of a support fighter, something that can harass and confuse the enemy while allies with more capable weapons take advantage of that. But once in a while, you can take a few tallies for yourself. But unfortunately, that was only 4 kills, so I'll need to go hunting if I want to complete my ace. Now, before you accuse me of kill stealing, the NC-223 has 4 engines, and only one of them was on fire, so fair game, I say. Trust me. The Ki-61 is a plane that requires a bit of patience to get a feel for, but learning how to fly it well will set you up wonderfully for many of the other energy fighters in the game. Hope you're having a good day, and I'll catch you next time.